Namaskara, Swamiji.
Namaskara. The prayer is on page 92 of Universal Prayers. The first two on that page, 92. These two shlokas are from the Adhyatma Ramayana. The Adhyatma Ramayana is a shorter version, much shorter than the Valmiki Ramayana. And as the name indicates, the emphasis is on Adhyatma, the teachings, philosophy teachings of Sri Rama. That is the emphasis. Story serves as a background. The Adhyatma Ramayana is in the form of a conversation between Shiva and Parvati. So these are the two shlokas from the Adhyatma Ramayana. Tvam shuddha bodhosi sarvadehinam atmasya dhishosi nirakriti swayam pratiyase jnanadrisham mahamate padabja brangagita sanga sanginam aham prapannosmi padambujam prabho bhavapavargam tava yogi bhavitam yathānjasa jnānamapāravaridhim sukham tarishyami tathanushādhimam. Prayer to Lord Sri Ramachandra. O Lord Omniscient, you are verily the absolute consciousness, the Atman and the master of all beings, the formless reality. You reveal yourself unto those whose eyes of knowledge have opened, and who, like the bee, have their mind ever fixed on your lotus feet. O Lord, I seek shelter of your holy feet, which yogins ever meditate upon, and which verily sever all shackles that bind people to earth. Please show unto me the way by which I may truly cross this shoreless ocean of ignorance with ease. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us today now conclude our study of the one most important verse in the whole of Gita, number 66 in chapter 18. This sloka is the very culmination of all Vedanta teachings, following the path of Bhakti Yoga. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna concludes his teachings with this sloka number 66. What follows afterwards are all in the form of conclusion, phalashruti, and concluding instructions. Because of its importance, we will study it in some detail today. So the shloka is, as you already know, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshahishyami ma shuchaha. This is one of the most misunderstood shlokas also. If you take the literal meaning, Sarva dharman parityaja, giving up all dharma, that does not mean we should throw into the wind all good and bad and considerations of Viveka. You can do whatever you want to do, what to do. Dharma, nothing, everything is given up. Not like that at all. if we take the meaning of dharma as karma, as explained by Shankaracharya in the commentary, then also cannot give up all karma. Until the last breath is expelled, karma is going on. So that also cannot be done, literally. Sarvadharman parityaja, we cannot give up all karma. Some karma has to be given up, that we know. What are the two kinds of karma that have to be given up? Two kinds of karma: Nishiddha karma and Kamya karma. Nishiddha karma means prohibited actions, immoral, illegal actions, such as telling lies and cheating. Those things we have to give up first thing in spiritual life, moral purity. Then Kamya karma means selfish actions, actions done purely for one's own benefit and advantage, and not considering other people's well-being when we do some action. That is Kamya karma, that we know from the beginning of this 18th chapter. There Bhagavan said in the beginning of this chapter, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sanyasam kavayo viduhu. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Nyasam means giving up all kamya karma, selfish actions intended only to benefit one's own self. They have to be given up. Other than that, our other duties we have to do. We all have duties. Regardless of the stage of life in which we are, we have duties. Children have duties, parents have duties, adults have duties, monks have duties, householders have duties, and everybody. And the respective duty each one of us has to perform. This is called niyata karma. Niyata means prescribed duties pertaining to that particular stage of life in which we are. So that instruction we studied in the earlier chapter, chapter 3, niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajayokya karmanaha. Bhagavan emphasizes niyatam karma kuru, the prescribed duties pertaining to the stage of life in which you are, perform that. And then again, several times in the Gita, this importance of doing our duty has been emphasized. The second point we have to note is karma cannot be given up also. It's a physical impossibility to give up all karma. Sharira yatra means the journey of the body. That means taking care of the body. So as long as the body is there, it has to be taken care of. The body is the most precious instrument. Body includes the mind that we have been given, which helps us to realize the goal of our life. For devotee, it is God realization. For jnanis, it is self-knowledge. And this goal can be achieved only with the help of the body, using it and the mind as the instrument. You have no other instrument. So it has to be taken care of properly. What has to be given up then? Not the karma, but we have to give up attachment to karma and karma phala, attachment to the work that we are doing and attachment to the fruits of work that comes from our work. Doing it without attachment means offering everything we do and the results thereof to a larger cause. For devotees, it is God. In the Gita, so many times, in so many places, we have been told by the Lord that whatever you do, offer it to me. So what is the purpose of offering our work to God? Does he need our work? No. not to fulfill his need. When we offer something to somebody, we give up our attachment to that thing that we offer. When I offer my work to God as my offering, then I'm no longer attached to the work, nor to the fruits of that work. I've given it to him, and what he does with it, what result he gives, is all up to him, and I will accept it calmly, with equanimity, even if the work is, even if the result is unpleasant, not what I expected. That instruction so many times we have studied in the Gita, beginning from second chapter. There the Lord said in the second chapter, there are two verses which have come again and again. Chapter 2, verses 47, 48. There the Lord had emphasized that you have some control over the work that you do. You have the right to do your work. You have to do your work. There your duty. It is your duty to do your work. But you have no control over the result of your work. We studied that in two verses, 47, 48. And there in the 48, Sri Krishna says, when you do some work, do it without selfishness, without attachment, and when the result comes, whatever be the result, pleasant or unpleasant, you have to accept it with calmness, because the result is not in our hands. Mapaleshu kadachana. Phala means karma phala. In the fruits of work, we have no control. But we are the doers of work. Why cannot I control the outcome? The reason is the outcome of our work, result of our work, depends not only upon what I do, my part of the karma, what the input I do, but upon other factors which are not in my control. We have studied all of that before. When I do some work, I can do the work in the best possible way I am capable of, but the result may or may not be what I expect. If it is same as what I expect, I am happy. If it is fall short of my expectations, I expected to succeed, but it failed, then the Lord says, accept that failure with equanimity. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. Siddhi means success, asiddhi means failure. Because success, failure is not in our hands. We like it to be in our control. I always want to succeed. Nobody wants to fail. But sometimes, in spite of best results, failure comes, that we know from experience. Then we have to practice equanimity. Samatvam yoga uchyate to 48. Samatva means equanimity under all circumstances. In gain and loss, profit or loss, in praise and blame, in success and failure, in happiness and unhappiness, we have to remain as calm as possible. That is instruction has come so many times in the Gita. Equanimity. Now, what else has to be given up? Attachment to karma has to be given up by offering everything to God. Attachment to fruits of karma has to be given up. And at a higher stage, advanced stage, we have to give up the notion that I am the doer, agency. Generally, we think we are the doers of work. Most of us, most of the time, who is doing this work? I am doing this work. I am speaking. That's what we feel, that's what we experience, that's what we think. But it depends upon what is the meaning of I. If I think I am the body and the mind, then that is true. All actions happens at the body-mind level, sense organ. But Vedanta says you are not the body and the mind. You are the Atman. Tattvamasi, you are that. Am Brahmasmi, Am Brahman. That's highest teaching of Vedanta. To think that I am the body and the mind is a sign of ignorance of our true nature. So we have to keep that in mind. But when I say I am doing the work, I am referring to the body and the mind, not to the Atman. But really, work happens only at the body-mind level, sense organ, sense object level. Atman remains unaffected, pure consciousness, no work, nothing. If I accept that, highest truth of Vedanta, then no work. I am not the doer. So that has to be kept in mind. But that is difficult. How many of us can always think I am not the body and the mind? When everything is going okay, I can say I am not the body and mind. When some problem is there, stomachache or headache, then I cannot say I am not the body. So what is the way for us people like us now? I cannot say I am not the body and the mind because I am experiencing it. I know the truth, I am Brahman, but I am not experiencing it. And I am doing the work. So what should I do? He says, you are not the doer. Then Bhagwan has given us several options for people like us. The first option he has given is, several times in the Gita it has come. Whatever work you do, offer it to me. You can still do the work. I can still say I'm the doer. I'm the doer, but I'm offering it to God. That I is still there, but its importance is reduced. Only as an offering I'm doing it. So that is instruction many times you have studied. Chapter 3, sloka number 30, 330. There, Bhagavan gives 5 instructions. First of them is, whatever you do, offer it to me. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. Offering all actions to me, he says. How can we offer? Not physically. I'm doing some work, how can I physically offer it to God? Not possible. But he says, mentally offer. Where does he say that one? 1857. Chapter 18, verse 57, he says, mentally offer all your work to me. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. Chetasa means mind. Mentally, I should say, I'm doing this work, I'm offering it to the Lord. Whatever result he gives, I'll accept it calmly, and I'm going to do the best I can do this work in the best possible way. I'm offering it to him. When you offer something to somebody, you have to do it in a very good way. Haphazardly, if I do some work and say offer it to God, it will not be good. So I do the best I can. Just one place where the Lord had said, for people like us who cannot say I'm not the body, mind, I'm Brahman. This is the possibility of do all our work. We have to do our work. We cannot stop. Whatever I do, offer it to him. How? Mentally. Easy. Mentally, you have to think, I'm doing it as an offering. That's all. Work does not change. Another place where he has given the same instruction is chapter 9, verse 27. These are all important verses. Reviewing those things. There the Lord said, 9:27. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjahoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushamadarpanam. O Arjuna, yat karoshi, whatever you do, offer it to me. Tat kurushamadarpanam. Whatever you do means what kind of work can I offer to God? Everything. Except Nishiddha karma. Bad karma I should not do and say I'm offering to God. That won't work. I should not lie and cheat and steal and say I'm offering it. That should not be done. Kamya karma, I'm doing it for myself. Then how can I? I'm doing it for myself. I should do it for the Lord. Like that one. Mentally offer it. And he gives examples. What kind of work can they offer? Everything. Yadashmasi, whatever you eat. Of eating is also an offering. Because he is present there in the bodies of all as Vaishvanara. Digesting all kinds of food. Chapter 15, we studied that one. So whatever I eat is also offering to him. So that is one possibility. Offering everything to God mentally. Second possibility is doing all work as a servant of the Lord. Whatever work I do, I am doing as a servant, services master. It's all his work, but I'm doing it as a servant. Where does that one come? Does not specifically say in the Gita text, but in the commentary on sloka 30 in chapter 3, 330, Shankara has said that one. Ishvaraya Bhrityaiva Sarvani Karmani Karomi. For the sake of the Lord, Ishvara. Bhritya, as a servant. Sarvani Karmani, all work, Karomi, I am doing. Iti Matya, thinking like this, as a servant, like Hanuman, does everything for Sri Rama, as a humble servant, devoted servant, without any selfish motive to please the Lord. Parameshwara Prityartham, we should say. For to please the Lord, I am doing this work. It's in the 330 in the commentary, it's not in the text. Adhyatma Chetasa, second instruction, there in the commenting. So that is another thing we can do. As a servant, Dasya Bhava, it is called. Whatever I do is service of the Lord. Everything. That is second possibility. Do it as an offering, do it as a service, as a servant. Third thing that the Lord says for people like us, you should do all our work as worship. Everything I do is worship, including eating, talking, walking, sleeping, playing with children, taking care of the body. Everything is worship of God because He is present in all and everything. When a child is playing and you want to, as a mother or father, you play with the child, with whom are you playing? The Lord Himself comes as the child. Baby Gopala, baby Gauri. If you keep that attitude, everything becomes act of worship. Only the work does not change. The mind, in our mind, we should think and do all our work as worship, as we do the worship with devotion, joy, and total unselfishness, and with great joy and gratitude, worshipping. Everything I do is worship of God. That is another instruction. So these are all the possible ways in which you can practice detachment to karma, karma phala. What we are discussing is, if I cannot give up the notion that I am the doer, jnanists can do that one. I'm not the body mind, I'm not the doer. That I cannot do right now. What else I can do? Do it everything as an offering, with love, with dedication, with devotion. Do it everything as a service, as a humble servant, and do everything as worship. What did He say the last one? Chapter 18, verse number 46. 1846, the Lord said, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim minnati manavaha. Archana means worship. You can always worship God by doing all our work as worship. Ritualistic worship we can do sometimes. Every day, at certain times, we can do ritualistic worship. We can worship in the temples, other places of worship, but all the time we cannot do that kind of worship. All the time, whatever we are doing, that can be done as worship. I'm speaking, that is worship of God. You're listening, that is worship of God. When we eat, it is worship of God. When we sleep, it is also worship of God. Shankaracharya said that one, Nidra Samadhisthitihi. Everything, if done as worship, will be worship. Only attitude has to be changed. I'm doing it as a worship of the Lord. With devotion, with joy, with gratitude. When we are worshipping God all the time, while life becomes an unbroken stream of worship, what can be better than that? So these are all possible ways in which you can practice karma yoga. Ultimate is to say, I'm not the doer at all. This is the highest step. Jnanis can do that one. Where that is mentioned, chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. There the highest ideal is given. A Jnani performs all work, but never thinks I'm the doer. I'm not the body mind, I'm the Atman. Action is happening at the body mind sense organ. I'm none of those things. I'm the Atman, no action. Many of us cannot do that one because we have body consciousness. So in chapter 5, verses 8 and 9, Bhagavan described that highest attitude towards work. I'm not doer at all. Giving up kartritva totally. So how is it done? So in chapter 5, verse 8 and 9, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, a Jnani performs all the work that everybody else does, eating, walking, talking, sleeping. Jnanis do also. But Jnani says, Naiva kinchit karomi, I'm not doing anything at all. Iti yukto manyeta tattvavit. One who knows the truth. Tattvavit. What is the truth? Truth is, I am not the body mind, I am the Atman. Vedanta. Brahmasmi. Only knows that one, tattvavit. Such a person never says, I am the doer. Because for him, I means the Atman, not the body. Vivekananda karomi, 5, 8 and 9. He's not doing anything. Lot of things Jnani also does. The people like Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, Swami Vivekananda, how much work they did silently. If some ordinary people do some work and make a lot of noise and everybody should see, they did. All their life they were working. But they never said, I am the doer. In the gospel, have you ever come across the statement, Sri Ramakrishna saying, I am teaching people? He never said that one. 1,000 pages of his teachings. At most, he would say, those who come here will have their doubts removed. And if somebody called him Guru, Father, teacher, he would become very upset. It would physically cause him discomfort. Never called himself a teacher. What was he doing all his life? Only teaching people. Same thing, Ramana Maharshi never said I. In the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, we don't come across the word I am doing something. He never did it. He would refer to himself as Bhagavan in third person. He also used to do a lot of work. He would get up early in the morning at 2, 3 o'clock, go to the kitchen, help in the preparation of breakfast, and answer questions, compose poems, devotional works. Many things he did, but never said, I am the doer. They're Jnani. So how did that person explain the action when he says, I am not the doer? When the Jnani says, I am not the doer, you can ask him, sir, you are doing all these things. How can you say you are not the doer? You're eating, you're walking, you're talking. He says, I am not the doer. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayam. Indriyani means sense organs, one or more. Indriyartha means sense objects. They interact. Action takes place. Mind is also a sense organ. Mind says to the hand, pick up the cup. The hand picks up the cup. And mind says, drink the tea or hot water or whatever. And in all these actions, where is the I? Am I the mind? Am I the hand? Am I the teacup? Am I the table on which it is kept? No. There is no I at all. So Jnani does not put the I where it does not belong. He says, I am the Atman. Action is happening at the body, mind, sense organs, sense habit level. That's too high for us to follow. Unless we can say, I am not the body, mind. If I can reach the stage, then I can say. But as long as I have body consciousness, I should say, I am the doer. I am doing it as an offering to God. I am the doer. I am doing it as a servant of the Lord, as service. I am the doer. I am doing it as worship. I still do. Those are the options we were given. Now the question comes in the 1866 verse, Sarvodharman parityaja, giving up all actions, karma. So how can we give up all actions? Why is it the Lord giving an impossible instruction? There, what is meant here is, parityaga means not physically giving up all action, not possible. Giving up attachment to actions, giving up prohibited actions, giving up selfish actions, giving up attachment to actions and fruits of actions. And ultimately giving up the notion that I am the doer, kartritvam. Agency also has to be given up, not the doer at all. Then you are completely free. That's the highest stage. In between, we can do all these things. Then the next thing that we have to note in studying 1866 is it is possible to give all work. It is possible totally to give all work, but not very easy. When can we give that work? Sri Ramakrishna answered that question. It is possible to give all work, except, of course, body meant we have to breathe and drink water and eat that. Except that, all other work can be given up. When can that stage, when that stage will come in our life, can I give up all work? Yes. He said, Sri Ramakrishna said in the very first page of the Gospel, page 77 in English Gospel, when M went to Sri Ramakrishna for the first time, the author of Gospel M, he had some family problem. He was going through a period of distress in the family. So one afternoon, he and his relative, nephew, Sidhu, went to Dakshineshwara Kali temple garden. There, Mahatma was there. They were told, they went into his room, Sri Ramakrishna's room, who M and his relative Sidhu. When M entered the Sri Ramakrishna's room for the first time, he heard Sri Ramakrishna saying this one. This is what he heard for the first time. Sri Ramakrishna was saying, some people were there. When hearing the name of Hari or Rama once, you shed tears on your hair stands on end. Then you may know for certain that you do not have to perform such devotions as Sandhya anymore. Three things must happen for us to give up all work. Work will drop away. You don't have to give up. Work will drop away by itself. How does it happen? For Sri Ramakrishna, it happened. He was working as a priest for a salary at the Kali temple in Dakshineshwar. And his daily duty was to do worship of the Divine Mother Kali. So for the worship, he has to do a lot of actions. Water has to be collected, utensils have to be washed, and flowers have to be cut, fruits have to be cut, mantra has to be chanted. All these actions he has to do. He could do it for some time. But a stage came when he could not do any of these activities. Why? Because he was always absorbed in God consciousness. Whatever he saw, wherever he saw, he was seeing the presence of God. Everything else for God he saw. Then what actions is possible? He went to the flower plant to pick pluck flowers. He could not pluck the flower. God is there. And he wanted to cut the fruit for an offering. He could not cut the fruit. God. Everything is God. Then how can you do any action? You can't even eat. So when such a stage comes, all actions drop away by themselves. You don't have to give up anything. That is the stage ultimately. And who can reach the stage? Not ordinarily. Such people as Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, other people like Latu Maharaj, they have no work to do. Latu Maharaj, he did not stay in any ashrama like other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Who stay somewhere under the Howrah Bridge or somebody's house or somewhere, eat whatever was available and not worry about food or sleeping arrangement or anything. Anywhere, any place. Then you have no duties. If you stay in an ashrama, you have to do duties. Other Swamis have duty, you have to do duties. No, he just roam about here and there. Didn't care about his body, didn't care about food, didn't care about sleep. Then for him, no action. We can get away with that one. But how many can of us can live like Latu Maharaj? Total absence of concern for the body. It cannot be like that one. Then in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has said, when can a person give up all work? At what stage such a thing can happen? How can I give up all the work? in chapter 3, verses 17 and 18, the Lord has said, a person can give all work only when that person is totally absorbed in God consciousness or Atman, I am the Atman, not depending upon anything in the world for body comfort or anything. Food or no food does not matter. When such a stage comes, a person is totally absorbed in the joy of the self. Satchidananda is absorbed in it. For such a person at such a stage, there is no work at all. What did the Lord say that one? Chapter 3, verse 17, 18. Chapter 3, verse 17, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Jastu atmaritare eva syat atmatraptascha manavaha atmanyevacha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. For such a person, no work, karyam na vidyate. Totally free. At what stage can we do reach that level? Atmariti means person should be 100% absorbed in God consciousness, Atman consciousness, experiencing his infinite, blissful, Satchidananda nature, not having the body, mind, and anything. Totally absorbed in the self. No work. No concern about food or drink or where to sleep. Nothing at all. Ravana Maharshi was like that. Sri Ramakrishna like that for when he was absorbed in Samadhi for 6 months. 6 months he was in Nirvikalpa Samadhi varied. At that stage, what work? No concern about the body eating. Oh, we cannot reach the stage easily. Then no work, all work will drop away. Tasya karyam na vidyate. For such a person, 318, there is nothing that has to be done to gain something. There's nothing that will be lost if he does not do something. And such a person does not depend upon anything or anybody for anything. Totally absorbed in the self. Very high state. Until the stage is reached, we have to do our required duties. So that is the stage when all work will cease. And page 335, 336 in the Gospel. Let me see what Sri Ramakrishna has said that one. Page 335. Okay, here it is. Sri Ramakrishna said, it is by no means necessary for a man always to be engaged in his duties. Actions drop away when one realizes God as the flower drops of itself when the fruit appears. He who has realized God no longer performs religious duties such as the Sandhya. In this case, Sandhya merges in the Gayatri. When that happens, it is enough for a person to repeat just Gayatri mantra, the Gayatri mantra. When the Gayatri merges in Om, and after that no longer chants even the Gayatri, it is enough then to chant simply Om. How long should a man practice such devotions as the Sandhya rituals? As long as he does not feel a thrill in his body and shed tears of joy when repeating the name of Rama or Hari, until the stage work has to be done. People worship God to win money or lawsuit. That is not good. As long as he does not feel a thrill in his body and shed tears of joy when repeating the name of Rama or Hari, so long one has to keep on doing our required duties. When such a stage comes, the work is not possible. That's happened to Sri Ramakrishna. You can't do any work because he got everywhere. No body consciousness, nothing. Until then, you have to do our duty. So when Sri Krishna says in 1866, Sarvadharman Parityajya, we cannot give up all our karma and duties until such a stage comes. Until then, we have to do our duties. How we have to do our duties? 3 instructions: as offering, as a servant, and as worship. Then we are not bound by the actions. No attachment to karma, karma phala. That will show us the way to freedom. If the same actions are done with selfishness, they gain something, that those actions are binding, they keep us here. The same actions are done without any selfishness, as offering, as service, as worship, then they free us and we are free. You reach the Lord. So that is the instruction. Then, before I conclude, Parityajya, Sarvadharman, all actions, Parityajya. Dharma does not mean righteous, unrighteous. We have to follow our dharma. We have to follow what is righteous. We should not do unrighteous deeds. Adharma means unrighteous, just telling lies and cheating. We should never do that one. But he says, giving up all dharma, that stage will come when a person transcends all duality, goes above good and bad, and absorbed in God consciousness. Then there is no good, there is no bad, there is no happiness, there is no misery, there is no suffering, there is no enjoyment. When such a stage is reached, there is no good, no bad. Very high stage. So Sri Ramakrishna reached that stage. So when can a person give up all dharma? We'll see in the page here marked. Several places in the Gospel we see, I give up all dharma, dharma, everything Sri Ramakrishna says. 635 in the Gospel, page 635. When can we totally give up all dharma, dharma? 635. Here it is. Sri Ramakrishna says, adharma means unrighteous actions. Actions forbidden by religion. Telling lies, cheating, stealing, we know that one. Dharma means the pious actions prescribed by religion. For instance, charity to the poor, dana, feeding the Brahmins, and so on. Yajna, dana, tapa. Chapter 18, verse 5 and 6. 3 kinds of actions are prescribed for everybody. Sacrifice, all work as sacrifice, dana, charity, and tapas, austerity. Austerity of body, mind, and spirit. That we have studied before, chapter 17. Those have to be done, cannot be given up. Until a stage comes when a person is totally absorbed in God consciousness and rises above ordinary consciousness. That stage is described by Sri Ramakrishna here. Adharma means order. Vijay Krishna Goswami asks a question. What remains if one renounces both dharma and adharma? Question by Vijay Krishna Goswami. Sri Ramakrishna replies, pure love of God remains. When a person has total pure love of God, no attachment, no desire, no fear, as Narada describes, supreme love for God, unconditional love for God, exclusive love for God, then no action. No good, no bad, no happiness, no misery, no duality. Nirdvandva, rises above all duality. This is described here. Sri Ramakrishna says, when asked what remains if one renounces dharma, adharma, pure love of God remains. I pray to the Divine Mother, O Mother, here, take thy dharma, here, take thy adharma, and give me pure love for thee. Here, take thy virtue, here, take thy vice, and give me pure love for thee. Here, take thy knowledge, here, take thy ignorance, and give me pure love for thee. You see, I did not ask even for the knowledge or public recognition. When one renounces both dharma and adharma, there remains only pure love of God. Love that is stainless, motiveless, and that one feels only for the sake of love. Very high stage of not ordinary love we all have. Vaidhi Bhakti. We all pray to God, we all chant God's name, we do rituals, we do worship and all those things. This is ordinary love. Highest stage love means total absence of body consciousness. Yamladva matta bhavati atmarama bhavati. Narada says, when that kind of devotion comes, person becomes inebriated. Matta bhavati. Total absence of body consciousness and world, everything. This was Sri Ramakrishna had this. I remember when for the first time, this devotee Kalipada Ghosh went to see Sri Ramakrishna. Kalipada Ghosh, many of you know, was a friend of Girish Chandra Ghosh. And like Girish Chandra Ghosh, he was also given to drinking. Kalipada Ghosh. He had a company job in a British company, but he was neglecting his wife, family life. He was spending all his money and time in drinking and not taking care of the family. His wife became very much depressed. How long can she suffer? So somebody told her to go to Kali temple in Dakshineshwar, pray to Divine Mother Kali. So she went there. Kalipada Ghosh's wife went there to pray to Divine Mother Kali for relief. She prayed, and then somebody said, there is a Mahatma staying here, you can talk to him also. So she went to Sri Ramakrishna's room. This Kalipada Ghosh's wife. Sri Ramakrishna was standing there totally inebriated, unaware of the body. Some devotees are there. Kalipada Ghosh enters the room. Then he sees Sri Ramakrishna standing there. Nobody consciousness. Then Kalipada Ghosh used to drink. He thought this man has taken some foreign kind of drink. That's why he's so completely inebriated, stoned. Then after some time, Kalipada Ghosh asked him, sir, what have you taken that made you so intoxicated? Can you please give it that to me? Is it British made? He asks. Kalipada Ghosh asks. Sri Ramakrishna says it's not British, it is homemade. If you want, I can give it to you. Yes, give it to me, sir. He thought it was something drinking. Kalipada thought. Sri Ramakrishna just touched him. One touch. Finished. Kalipada Ghosh began to cry, weep, could not stop. Total transformation happened in an instant by a touch. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, this man has come here after torturing his wife for 12 years. Then from that moment onwards, his whole life became transformed. We read a story, very interesting story, Kalipada Ghosh's story. He got special blessings from Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna wrote something on Kalipada Ghosh's tongue and said, Japa will go on automatically, you don't have to do anything. Automatic Japa will go on. You don't have to do anything. Such a special grace. And Kalipada Ghosh extracted a promise in a boat, middle of a river, from Sri Ramakrishna, that at the time of Kalipada Ghosh's death, Sri Ramakrishna had to go and hold his hand and lead him. All the story is very interesting. So what I'm saying is, when the stage of life comes, total inebriation, matta bhavati, Narada says, yam labdva puman matta bhavati, atmarama bhavati, asochati, akankshati. When the stage of devotion comes, no God, no bad, no dharma, no work, nothing. That is above all these things, all dualities. This very high stage. Until we reach the stage, if we ever reach the stage, we hope we do at some stage, then no work, no dharma. Until then we have to follow what is righteousness, dharma. We should avoid at all costs adharma and do our duties as offering, as service, as a servant, and as puja, worship. That is the instruction for us. Dharman parityajya. Then one more point. There, the Lord says, Mamekam sharanam raja. 1866. Mamekam, me alone, only one. Eka means one. Because we take refuge in other things, ordinary people. We have so many other refuges. Narada calls them ashraya. Anyashrayanam tyagaha, Narada says in the Bhakti Sutra. A devotee gives up all other refuges where he takes refuge, seeks only refuge in God, only in God. Other things not dependable always. Sometimes they help. But for example, what are other things in which we take refuge? If you become sick, you go to a doctor, seek medical help, which is good. The doctor gives medical help, medicines, treatment. Whether this is cured or not, the doctor cannot control. When you need some electrical help, you call the electrician. He will come and fix something. If sometime it will again go back. When faucet is sink is clogged, we call the plumber. Like this, these are other refuges we take. But they give temporary help. They are not permanent. They only do a certain kind of service. But the ultimate refuge, at all times, is dependable for all kinds of problems, for all problems of life, and the problems of rebirth and suffering. God is the only refuge. Mamekam sharanam raja. Eternal, unfailing refuge for all problems of life. It can give us liberation from all cycle of birth and death, from all suffering forever. Eternal peace and joy will be given if we take refuge in the Lord. Mamekam sharanam raja. Other things we can take refuge, but they are not. They are sometimes do help, sometimes not. Not dependable, not always helpful. But God is always there. Mamekam sharanam raja. Now, before I conclude, he says, Sharanagati, Sharanam raja. What is meant by Sharanagati? Taking total refuge in God, surrendering to God. Sharanagati means surrendering to the will of God. Then what about my desires? I want to do things in this way, I want that one. If I give up everything to God, then our desires. That means we have to accept the Lord's will, whatever happens, without complaining, joyfully. How to do that one? Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a baby, of a kitten, baby cat. Wherever the mother cat keeps the baby kitten, it stays there until the mother cat comes and takes it and puts it in some other place. If the mother cat keeps the kitten in the master's bedroom closet, it will be there in the closet until mother cat comes and takes it, keeps it under the master's bed. It will stay there. Then the mother cat comes and takes it somewhere else. It will stay there. That is total surrender to the will of the mother. Whereas a baby monkey, it holds on to the mother's body, the monkey itself, with his own hands. You've seen that one. So it's monkey's responsibility. The baby monkey's responsibility to hold on to mother's body. If the baby monkey leaves the mother's body, it will fall. So responsibility is on the baby monkey. But baby kitten gives responsibility to mother. Wherever she keeps, I'm happy. Just like a dry leaf, shushka parnavat, they say. A dry leaf on the ground fallen from the tree. Wherever the wind blows, it goes there. In whichever direction, it has no particular desire or plan to go there or here. If the wind does not blow, it simply stays in the same place. If the wind blows to this side, it goes to this side. If the wind blows to the other side, it goes there, like a dry leaf. That is total surrender. Very difficult to practice that one. So what we can do is Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the cow tied to a tree with 10-foot long radius, 10-foot long rope. The cow has freedom within the 10-foot circle, radius circle. So it has to do its self-effort. Within the 10-foot radius circle, cow has freedom. It can eat all the grass, some of the grass, sit down or jump up and down, but cannot go beyond that one. So God has given us some ability to take care of ourselves. So we have to use that one. For example, I can every morning go to the kitchen and eat breakfast. Instead of that, if I say, I'll simply stay in my room, God will take care of me. That won't work. How to do by self-effort. After that, whatever happens, in the Lord's will. So Sharanagati does not mean not doing our duty. Whatever we can do, our duty is prescribed duty we have to do. And then they say, I've done my best. Well, the rest is up to you, O Lord. Whatever you do with it, I will accept that one. So Girish Chandra Ghosh gave power of attorney to Sri Ramakrishna. But does not mean he had to stop all his work. He still had to go to work. Whatever he was, whatever doing, producing drama, whatever he had to do, that one. But whatever happened, that he accepted as will of Sri Ramakrishna. So Saranagati means not giving up our duties, whatever we can do, we have to do, and then depending on the Lord for everything else. Saranagati can be practiced by different people in different ways. For example, a Jnana Yogi, following the path of knowledge, I'm Brahman, I'm not the body mind, such a person, how does he or she can do Saranagati? He takes refuge only in the Brahman, I'm Brahman, gives up all dependence on body mind, sense organ. Gives up all dependence. I'm not the body mind, sense organ. Whatever happens, I'm not concerned about it. Good or bad, ill or well, sickness or whatever, nothing but touches the Brahman. Take refuge in that self-knowledge. Use up attachment to body mind. That is the way Jnana-yogi performs, takes Saranagati, surrender to the supreme reality Brahman. A person who following the Raja Yoga, Patanjali's Raja Yoga, it is similar. He says in the Raja Yoga, one of the aphorisms says, Ishvara Pranidhana Dva. Ishvara Pranidhana means surrendering to the will of the Lord Ishvara, God, whatever happens. Similar to devotees, surrender. And devotee has to follow what Sri Krishna has said in the 18th chapter. Do all actions as offering, as service, as worship, and whatever result comes, good or bad, success, failure, accept it with equanimity and always worship me. 4 instructions have to be done. Saranagati means 4 things have to be done, can never be given up. What are they? Previous sloka, 65. We'll conclude with that one. In the previous verse 65, chapter 18, Lord has said, do 4 things. That is the final instruction. So many instructions given in the earlier chapters. Many instructions are given. Do this, do this, do that, do that. But they are reduced to 4 in the final instruction 65, chapter 18. What are the 4 things we have to do? We studied that one earlier. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaje mam namas guru. Manmana bhava, keep your mind fixed always on God. We studied how to do that one. Constant repetition of God's name, remembering, do all work as worship, etc. Manmana bhava, fix our mind on God all the time, not wasting our mental power and thinking about the world, what other people doing, what, not worrying about, only God. Mad bhakta, be devoted to God. Some people are devoted to their families, some people are devoted to their profession, the scientific research, like that one, but devoted to God, devotion to God alone. Mad bhakta bhava, madhyaje bhava. Whatever action we do, yaga means sacrifice. Whatever action we do it as an offering to the Lord. Always performing all actions as yaga, as offering, as sacrifice. And then last instruction is Mam Namaskuru, bow down to the Lord. where in all forms and all things and everybody, where in which he is not present, including inanimate objects, going down to God in all forms. How this is done, I give an example. When Swami Shivananda Mahapurush Maharaj was president of the order, second president, his health was not good. He had asthma and some stroke also he had, and was unable to, didn't have good health. And as the president, he was staying in his room, and one young monk had to take care of him by turn. Young monks were taking care of him. And whenever devotees went to see him, the practice in Bellurumat is every day at certain time, all the devotees stand in a line to have President Maharaj's darshan. One by one they go, and then President blesses everybody. And so like that, to see the President, devotees used to come, householders used to come with their families. And they do the pranam to the President Maharaj, right? That's the custom. But before the visiting devotees, householders could do pranam to him, Swami Shivananda did pranam to the visiting devotees, and they were interested and they were impressed. Why President Maharaj is doing pranam to me? The young monk serving him noticed this one. The young monk asked him, "Sir, why? They are the household devotees. They come to see you, get your blessings. They have to do pranam to you, obeisance to you. Why are you doing pranam to them?" Mahapurush Maharaj said, "When anybody comes to my room, when I see anybody, I see God himself coming in that form. How can you not do pranam? If you see God coming in the form of all the people himself, you see Lord, how can we not do pranam?" So that was his experience. Would see God in all and everything, do Mam Namaskuru, do Namaskara to everybody. Then one more thing happened. One night, Maharaj could not sleep because of breathing trouble. He was reclining. A young monk was sitting, serving him. Middle of the night, a cat came to the President Maharaj's room. And Mahapurush Maharaj saw the cat and bowed down to the cat also. Did namaskar to the cat. Then this young monk and Maharaj, we are doing pranam to the cat. I see God in it. How can you not do pranam? The stage will come when you do namaskar. Until then, we have to try to see God's presence in all and everything. Of course, we need to practice it with some caution. In the street, when you walk, if you do pranam to everybody, then it won't work. People think you are crazy mentally. So, depending on the circumstances, mentally, we see the divine presence in all and show respect to it. Mam Namaskuru. So that is the instruction, 4 instructions in 1865. And then Mamekam Sharanam Raja, total surrender. That is the final instruction to Arjuna, Bhagavan gave. And a few more verses are there by way of conclusion. We will study them next time. We shall stop here. And I shall say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Sarve Santu Niramayaha. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble, dharmic and auspicious. May no one be subject to misery. Om, peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.